So you're sitting there playing Modern Warfare 3 or Warzone and you shoot a guy first for what feels like 30 bullets and he turns around and drops you in just 3 or 4 shots. Well guys, there's a huge problem in this game regarding accuracy, shooting first, dying first, and all that kind of stuff. And today I have 9 tips I want to share with you guys to have perfect aim and help you win almost every single one of your gunfights, no matter what the distance is. So let's get into it, guys. Today we're looking at Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone tips. They work hand in hand. Let's get straight into it. What is up, guys? My name is Nick and welcome back to a Modern Warfare 3 video. Now, like I said, guys, if you don't have good accuracy, don't worry about it. We all die to BS sometimes, and I'm here to show you how you could get 10 times better in just a few days. You guys can, like, even just a few games, you'll be so much better. Now, I suggest you guys drop a like before this critter walks all over you. Ugh, I would not want to risk it, so go ahead and do it. We're going to shoot for 8,000 likes on this one, and guys, if you could sub to the channel with those notices or not, that would be amazing. And before we get into the first tip, I want to ask you guys, and please be completely honest with me, there's always that one dude who lies. Let me know what your KD is down in the comments below on multiplayer or Warzone, whichever one you play the most. Let me know what it is. There's going to be that one dude who says, oh, I got a 4.5. We all know he's a liar. Let's get into number 1, guys, and I want to talk about distance, okay? We're talking short range, we're talking mid range, we're talking long range. There's 3 different ways that you got to start shooting your weapon depending on the distance, and 3 kind of ways that you got to look at every single type of gunfight, all right? So if you're close range, what I always suggest doing is start shooting as you start aiming down sights. And aim for the head, okay? Once you start shooting as you're aiming down sights, your bullets are gonna hit in the hip fire before you actually ADS. If you're one of those type of players who waits until you're fully ADS to start shooting, you're losing valuable shots. 1 or 2 shots could hit that enemy before you even ADS, meaning you're gonna win that gunfight if he's not doing that, and it's just way better for you. And also, in close range, you wanna aim for the head because you're really close. The head is such an easy target to hit, and he deals the most damage. So go ahead and do that for close range. But when we get to mid range, you want to still hold the trigger in your gunfights. You don't want to tap fire or anything. You want to continue holding that trigger down, but this time I would suggest aiming for the upper chest rather than aiming at the head, because of how far the enemy actually is. He will appear to be a lot smaller, and the head at this point just becomes a bad target to aim for. It's not viable at all. And the recoil of your gun, if you're aiming at the head at mid-range, I'm talking 30-40 meters, and he starts shooting back at you and you get flinch, you're going to be missing some shots, and you're not going to be hitting those valuable headshots. You're going to be shooting over his head, and again, it's just not worth it. Now, long range is the final range I want to talk about, and there's a few different ways you could go about long range gunfights. If you have a really good gun that doesn't have much recoil, you could just hold down the trigger the whole entire time, but the further the enemy gets, even a weapon like the SVA 545 that doesn't seem to have recoil if you make the proper class, once you get to really long range, it's still going to have some sort of recoil. So you're going to want to tap fire. And when I tell people when they aim at long range, don't worry about shooting for the chest. Don't worry about shooting for the head. Just shoot your shots and try to hit the target. Whether you hit him in the leg, the chest, or the head, the damage drop-off is already so crazy at that distance that it doesn't matter at all. Now let's move on to number 2 here, guys, and that is sensitivity, okay? I will say a few things here. Normally I tell people play on whatever sensitivity you want, but if you play too low, it's too low, guys. You can't turn on people fast enough if you start getting shot at, especially in Warzone. You don't want to have a slow reflex time. You want to be a little quicker and stuff. You don't want to get shot at and be too slow to turn around. So maybe playing on a 1 and 2 sensitivity is just not it. But then there's the other end of the spectrum, and if you play really high, like a 20 sensitivity, unless you're a freak, that's not going to be good, man. And it's really hard to remain accurate and actually snap onto people with such a high sensitivity as well. So I would recommend anywhere between like a 6 to like a 13. Maybe somewhere around there would be pretty good. But again, it's up to you guys. It's whatever you're comfortable at. If you like 20/20, you play really good at that, definitely go for it. Now, ADS sensitivity. This is your sensitivity when you're aiming down sights. I would suggest lowering that just a little bit to like 0.95 or 0.90. And this is going to help you just glue onto the enemies a lot easier. Now, number 3 is not really a tip, but more of a suggestion, and I would ask you guys to get a pair of Control Freaks, man. I'm sponsored by them, but even if I wasn't, I would recommend these. And even before I got sponsored by them, I always recommended Control Freaks, guys. Use code IT'sNick, you're going to save yourself 10%, all that kind of good stuff. But what I really like about these is that they help your accuracy tremendously. People who play with Control Freaks will always swear by them, and I cannot play without it, so definitely go ahead and do that. Let's move on to number 4 here, guys, and this is one that I always say for the end of the video, but I'm going to say it at the beginning because I know there's a couple of people who don't really go all the way to the end of videos and stuff. But when you're playing against bots in a private match, it's going to help you tremendously, okay? And I really recommend this all the time. If you have trouble aiming, if you're having a bad day, you're playing a few games, but your accuracy is just not there, go into a private match, put full enemy teams on, okay? So if you could fit fit 6, put it on. If you can fit 10, put it on. And make sure that you have 0 enemies on your team. You want them to be on a team together so they don't shoot at each other. You want to have all the accuracy for yourself. Put unlimited kills on. Try to get like 200 or 300 kills on them. Make sure the radar is always on. It doesn't matter. You actually want to know where they are so you can start aiming at them and start shooting them a lot quicker. And set the bots to recruit. No aim assist. You want to turn aim assist off. Set it to headshots only and put the health to the maximum. All right, guys, this is going to force you to go for those headshots. You're not going to have aim assist helping you out, and it's just going to help you guys a lot better, so that when you actually do go back online and start playing multiplayer or Warzone again, make sure to put aim assist back on. Don't forget. I've forgotten a few times and it really messes you up, but turn it back on and you guys are just going to see your accuracy is going to be so good. You're going to feel like you're actually cheating. So definitely go ahead and do that. Make sure that you get like 200 or 300 kills while doing that. It's going to help you guys out a lot. Moving on to number 5. I want to say, man, you got to keep your crosshairs exactly where you think the enemy is going to be. And your crosshair, by the way, is that little circle in the middle of your aiming, pretty much that little dot where you're always aiming at when you're not aiming down sights. That little dot and those 4 little lines that make a cross in the center of your screen, that's your crosshair, right? It's hard to explain, but you know what I'm talking about. If you see an enemy run into a building, for example, make sure that you're pointing at a window or a door that you think he's going to pop out from. This way, once you actually do see him there, and if you're still moving and stuff, but you keep your crosshair there, all you have to do is ADS and you're going to be shooting him super fast. He's going to have to like readjust his accuracy to aim at you and stuff. It's just going to work out in your favor. Now, don't run around the map with your crosshairs pointed at the floor. Don't run around the map, again, with your crosshairs pointed at the sky. It's going to take you a few seconds to readjust that aim when an enemy does run in front of you, so always have it pointed where you think someone's going to pop out of. If you're running down a street or something in the game and there's a corner up ahead, have it pointed at that corner. In case an enemy jumps out from there, all you got to do is ADS and start shooting. You don't have to worry about anything else. Now, another thing going on to tip number 6 here is to make yourself a hard target to hit, and this one's really important. Okay, you can give yourself height advantage so the enemies can't see your whole entire body. You can start head glitching so the enemies can only see your forehead, and a lot of times people ask me what is head glitching. It's when you go behind an object, you could see the enemy clearly, but they could barely see you. You're hidden so well, you're on like a god heady, and no one can see you. It's very hard to hit you. You want to do that. It's in the game for a reason. If you don't use it, the enemies will. So make sure you're using the head glitches. And you also want to be constantly moving, so swaying left and right so that you flinch a lot less, because the enemies are going to be hitting you a lot less, and it's just really nice. It's better to be a hard target to hit and have bad accuracy than have amazing accuracy and stand still. You don't want to do that. It's just, trust me guys, make sure that you're making yourself a hard target to hit, and even if you have great accuracy, it's a double whammy. It's really good for you, and I mean that in a good way. But anyways, let's move on to number 7 here. And then we got 8 and 9, and it's done. You gotta anticipate the enemy's next move. Now, this could be really hard, especially if you don't play a lot. If you play like 30 minutes a day or an hour a day, it might be hard, but it does become second nature the more you think about it. So you always want to be thinking about where the enemy's going to go. I'm going to try to give you guys an example here if it makes sense, all right? So if you see an enemy and he runs behind a rock or something, for example, try to read his movement and point to the side of the rock that you think he's actually going to pop out of, and you're kind of playing whack-a-mole here. Like if he pops out, you guys start shooting him right away. He's probably going to hide behind that rock again. Is he going to come out the same side? Is he going to come out the right side, the left side? You kind of got to figure this out, and it just becomes second nature. The more you play, the more you will know how people act and how they react and stuff. Now, sometimes you will be aiming at the left and he will pop out on the right, for example, but most of the time you will be able to read enemies pretty easily. If you start shooting someone, is he going to come back out and challenge you? It just becomes second nature. You just start knowing what that is and when it's going to happen and stuff. So that one's pretty good, but you got to always anticipate their next move, and it's going to help you guys win a lot of gunfights. And number 8 here, you want to crouch or go completely prone when going for long shots. Now again, you don't have to do this all the time, but one thing that's really good about this is that it makes you a smaller target to hit, which is really good, but it also makes your crosshairs smaller. So that when you do take your shots, they become a lot tighter. The spread is a lot tighter and a lot easier to hit at long range, especially if you go for a hip fire first. Chances of you hitting a hip fire while actually in prone is a little easier for sure, and also your recoil is a lot less as well. So make sure you guys go ahead, crouch, prone, long distance. You don't have to every single time, but it will help you out a lot, especially if you're camping in Warzone. And I do say camping in Warzone because people do it. It does work. Now the last one, number 9 here, is mostly for Warzone, but it works on multiplayer as well. You got to practice aiming at random objects every so often, and the reason I say this is because if you're playing Warzone, for example, you could go through a 10-minute stretch without seeing an enemy team, and then you're just not warmed up. You're not ready for those gunfights, and if they just came out of a gunfight, they're warmed up, they're ready, they're gonna drop you. So make sure that you just start aiming at random trees. Try to flick on a tree, try to lock on as fast as you can, as fast as possible to a tiny rock in the distance. Try to flick onto that, and because you don't have aim assist on these objects, the better you get good at flicking at these objects, the better you will be at flicking at enemies when you do see them last second. That's gonna be it for the video, man. Like I said earlier, if you could go for 1,000 likes, I would truly appreciate that. Sub to the channel with those notifications turned on, guys. I would really like that as well. And let me know down in the comments below, what is your KD on Warzone or multiplayer, whichever one you play more, whichever one you have a higher KD. Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Nick, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.